If you haven't heard yet, the Marines rejected the M7. I'd like to say it's a surprising turn of events, but it really isn't. We all knew this was coming. I've been talking about this since, 2020? Something like that, that this is exactly what was going to happen. Anyway, before we get into that and talk about why that may be happening or what's going on there, I'd like to remind you to shop at onlycatfans@shopify.com, where you can purchase cool merchandise like MREs, tourniquets, branded merchandise like this beanie right here. BAM! And it's important for people to shop there because that's how I support my channel. I'm permanently demonetized from YouTube, and that's my only source of income. Thank you for everyone that shopped there, and thank you in advance if you're thinking about shopping there. So let's get into it. We got the M27, which is what the Marines are currently using, and then the military's M7. So these are two totally different philosophies. What we're looking at here is basically a DMR versus, for lack of a better term, a PDW, a personal defense weapon. I mean, I guess you could call it the M27 an assault rifle. I just don't like to use that because that got twisted into an assault weapon, and the military, or the media just, I get a bad taste in my mouth using that. So we're going to call it a PDW. It is an assault rifle, but we're going to call it a PDW. These are totally two different philosophies. One's for basically medium range. The other one's for up close and personal. The idea is your DMR, now typically, we're going to wind back, bam, bam, before the M7. Typically it would be set up, you'd have your machine gunners, your grenadiers, your DMR guys, and then just general M4s, your PDWs. So if a threat was too far away... Fire! Yeah, baby! You couldn't get them with mortars, you didn't have a drone to go over there, you didn't have a battle tank or something to shoot over there. Well, your DMR guy would cover that slack. And that's basically how it goes down. Everybody else would basically have a PDW, aside from obviously like the grenadiers and the machine gunners, because that's where it matters. Typically, if something's that far away, well, you're going to call artillery in or something anyway. If it gets closer, well, now I need a weapon that's good closer up. Especially going from like house to house. So we got, how do you defeat body armor? That was the whole point of it. The Army's like, oh, we're going to be fighting a pure enemy. They're going to have the same body armor we got. We're going to have, everything's going to be the same. We want to be able to level up. We want to be able to get them before they can get us. The problem is, you don't defeat body armor by going with a bigger caliber. Yes, there's exceptions, like say you went with like 30 millimeter or 50 cal, right? Even with a lead slug, there's just so much kinetic energy it'll pop through the body armor. But generally, like a shoulder rifle, something man-portable, how do you defeat body armor? You have to get two things. One is velocity, which 5.56 has that in spades. And then the other one is bullet design. You don't beat body armor by just going with a bigger caliber. That's not how you do it. Again, with the exceptions that you just go so big, it just overwhelms the plates. But you'd have to go ridiculously big for that to happen. A level 4 plate without a problem will stop a 300 PRC, which is 3,500 foot-pounds of kinetic energy on the plate, which is far more than this 6.8 by 51 can put out. I'm pretty sure it even stops a 338 Lapua, which is even more yet. So kinetic energy doesn't beat body armor. Again, I hate to keep bringing it up, but if I don't, it'll come up in the comment section, unless you hit a certain amount like what a 50 caliber brings to the table. So you need to get velocity. You want to be above like 3,000 feet per second, and you need bullet design. You can do it with tungsten carbide. Depleted uranium's a great option. I don't know if they actually make that for small arms, but you get the idea. You need a penetrator. You can't just do it by increasing kinetic energy and having a lead bullet. So we got the Army versus the Marines. They're two different philosophies. The Marines imagine this battlefield in the future, wide open, long distances, where they're snapping shots. Basically the M14 or M1 Grand mindset behind it. And they're going to have body armor, so we need to shoot them really far away. And for some reason, I don't understand why, that they think that that's going to be body armor. It's not going to, but they have body armor, so we need to shoot them really far away. The Marines are like, no, we're going to get dropped off, or we're going to come in through a ship or something like that, so we need a rifle that can hold a lot of ammunition, has low recoil, it's really light. Just get in there and dig in. All right, so the 6.8 by 51 is not going to be universal across NATO and the military right now. That is a very large deal. When we're talking about pure enemies, like full on, this is another country's military, fill in the blank for what country you want, China, Russia, it doesn't matter. Logistics matter. How did Russia beat the Germans? They cut them off, they broke the logistic chain, they broke the supply chain, and then they just starved them out. Eventually they run out of ammo, food, you just keep tightening the noose. That's what wins wars, like real wars, not little conflicts, like actual, like, this is a developed country's military, this is a developed country military, we're going to come together and we're going to smash. Logistics and supply chains win. So that's a big deal. At some point, I don't know if it's going to be Congress or generals or somebody's probably going to step in and be like, hey, you guys need to standardize. If you want to keep the 6.8 by 51, make it a DMR rifle, but your general military troops need to be in 5.56, or it flips the other way. The general or whatever steps in and is like, hey, you know what, if you want to have a couple of like PDWs for off front line people, that's fine, but everybody needs to be running the M7, everybody needs to be running 6.8 by 51. So what they're trying to do here is modernize the military and modernize the rifle. I believe this was a step in the wrong direction. I'll explain at the end of the video which direction I think they should have went, but they were like, all right, so we've had this rifle forever. It's not that it's bad or anything. It's not that it's not hitting our goals, but we want to step it up and be advanced before the next problem comes. So they wanted suppressors, they wanted a scope that you click a little button, it tells you where to aim on it. They wanted a new caliber. They wanted everything brand new because the M7 is an entire system. It's not just a new rifle, it's a new rifle, new silencer, new caliber, new scope. It's the whole ball of wax. That was the whole thing with it. They wanted to move up to that next level. They wanted to get away from the passive ACOGs, do something that's actually, because, all right, so you have two different type of sighting systems. You have like your laser rangefinder, and that which shoots a laser out and it tells you the range, or you have something that's passive. The ACOG is passive, where it'll just have hashes in there, and you put the hashes on the shoulder of the enemy. It gives you a rough idea how far away they are, so you know how much Kentucky windage basically to throw on. It's not Kentucky windage, but that's the best way to describe it, because you don't know exactly, like, all right, it fits between these two dashes, so we're going to aim right about, take a shot, nope, that's not quite right, there. Now I got it. So they wanted something that wasn't passive anymore. They wanted an active range-finding sighting system to help them get more rounds on target. And for a DMR, they're right. That is an awesome scope to go with the DMR. Should I win my appeal and I get my rights back, there's a couple rifles I'm going to get, and I'm actually going to put ballistic turrets on there instead of the MOA turret, because why not? It's the way to go. Anyways, let's not get too far off in the weeds. All right, so what do we got? We got 5.56 versus 6.8 by 51. What are the advantages and disadvantages? The big disadvantage is going to be cost. It's going to be extremely more costly to do 6.8 by 51. Time of manufacturing, it's going to take a lot more time to manufacture 6.8 by 51. Resources, it's going to take way more resources to manufacture 6.8 by 51. What does it do that's good though? It's going to bring more kinetic energy down on the table. It's going to bring potential. Now I'm saying potential because it doesn't matter. You can shoot a 338 Lapua in the dirt, and that doesn't mean that you can shoot longer range. It's the potential of having a higher BC and a potential of being a more longer range cartridge. Again, more kinetic energy on target. This cartridge is going to perform better. You got to remember though, nothing's for free. If you get something, you have to give something up. If I'm going to gain ballistics, I'm going to give up recoil. I'm going to have to start taking on a whole bunch of recoil I didn't have to give up before. If I want to gain long-range performance, I'm going to have to give up ease of use. It's going to be a harder cartridge to master because it's going to have more recoil. It's going to be longer. If I want to gain long-range performance, I'm going to give up magazine capacity. It's always a trade-off. There's no right answer here when you're talking about just ballistic performance, because You get something, you give something. You give something, you get something. That's just the way it works. Now, in a war, an actual like peer-on-peer fight, these things matter. Cost, time of manufacturing, resources. Yes, they could stockpile the shit out of 6.8 by 51 and circumvent a lot of these problems, but we're not there yet. And that's another reason why the Marines may not want to go with this yet, because if things did kick off and they all have these M7 rifles that they can't feed, what's the point? So, what really needs to be modernized? Look, the M4 is modernized. We went from the M16, M16A1, M16A4, M4, M4A1, M4A2, M4, I don't know what we're actually on right now. The point is, it is modernized. The rifle is perfectly modernized. Changing rifles, in my opinion, was the wrong way to go. What we needed to modernize was the ammunition. And that's actually what the 6.8 by 51 does, is it ups the pressure. Now we can go from about 60,000 PSI up to 100 or 80,000 PSI. The problem is we could have done that with 5.56. Why they chose to go the new system, it just kind of baffles my mind, because they should have upgraded the caliber. The rifles have already been upgraded. Like, for example, the M27 is the most modern M4. It's completely upgraded. It's up with times. Yes, it does have a passive aiming system, but there's a lot of pluses to passives. You don't shoot a visible laser. We're talking about a peer-on-peer fight. I'm going to shoot an IR laser. If it's a peer-on-peer fight, they have night vision and they're going to see that laser. So a passive system is better. Now, like I said, passive systems have its downfalls. You have to have a good idea of what you're doing to use a passive system, where an active system, you just press the button and it does all the work for you. Now, their new site does have passive and active systems, but that's not the point. The point is, the M27 is perfectly modernized. What they could have did was just modernize the 5.56 ammo. Now you can take a 77 grain projectile, juice that up to like 100 PSI, and you're getting like 3,500 feet per second. That is amazing and insanely lethal. Remember, you get kinetic energy 1/2 mass times velocity squared. You get way more results by juicing up velocity than by increasing the mass of the round. That's what should have been modernized. Will we go back and modernize the 5.56? Maybe that's the Marines' plan. Maybe like, you know what? We already got a modernized M4. We have the best rifle you can possibly get. So let's just throw better ammunition in it. Problem solved. We could have taken the 308, juiced it up to 80 to 100,000 PSI. Now the 6.8 by 51 looks kind of dumb, because the 308 will outperform it at those types of PSIs. Anyways, I think that is the proper angle they should have went after. Let's modernize the ammo. We already modernized the rifle. Rifle's good. Let's make the ammo up to times, because we've been still running that same 60,000 PSI since what? Ammunition first came out. The casing itself was the key. Now, SIG showed us this. With the 6.8 by 51 using that new brass and being able to juice it up like that, but we could have applied that to anything. So, I think that was a blunder on the military's part. They should have been like, hey, we want to put in a contract for new 5.56 ammo that will do X, Y, Z, instead of being like, we want to switch calibers. Like, why would you just switch calibers to calibers we already know it doesn't work? Anyway, let's wrap this video up. If you'd like to help support the channel and you don't want to shop at Only Tactical Fans at Shopify.com, the next best way to do that is go down and click on that Amazon affiliate link. Just by clicking on that link, even if you don't buy what that link is for, just click it on it. And doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway, that'll kick back for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.